If you're a Giant fan, it ain't going to be pretty, so let's start with that. As the New York Giants, for the 57th consecutive year, start off 0-2. They now have the worst record over the last 5 years of any team, including the Jaguars and the Jets, in the NFL. And it ain't Jason Garrett's fault, and it ain't Daniel Jones' fault. Hi, Joe Judge, the savior. You're 6-12 now as the head coach of the New York Giants. Anybody want to say anything? Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today?
That smile is back.
Yes, it is.
Why
when I'm
are
right,
you smiling?
I'm right.
Yeah, but what do you... Well, hold on.
Well, I'm not smiling about the performance last night of a win that they gave away.
Here's what you may be right about. If it's about you being right, then it's about you being right.
It's never about that.
Today is September 17th. It's been about a year and a half since the Giants hired Joe Judge. And when they hired Joe Judge, he won the press conference. He was incredible.
Yes.
He was inspiring. And in the first year as head coach of the New York Giants, even though they only won 6 games, there was a belief he's the guy. And while he still may be the guy, the one thing we can all declare together is that the honeymoon is over.
Last night was a train wreck. I'm just going to say it the way it is.
Well,
it was a train wreck.
What aspect, and obviously it's more than just the coach, but what aspect of this head coach do you want to start at? Because I rack my brain to think of what thing from last night would piss me off the most, because I got a list.
Okay. So let's go over in no particular order. No particular order.
All right, I'll give you one.
Go ahead.
I'll give you one right now.
Feel free. Go ahead.
When the New York Giants score a touchdown to go up 19-14 on what was a sexy throw by Daniel Jones to Darius Slayton. And they're up 19-14, and we are at the midway point of the third quarter. Why are you not going for 2?
Bingo, that's one.
Why?
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2. You think I pick on Jason Garrett a lot?
Yes, you did.
I thought Jason Garrett called a great game last night at times. And while some Giant fans might want to look at that final offensive possession and say, Jason Garrett. No. Joe Judge is the CEO. The buck stops with Joe Judge. When James Bradbury, who, by the way, got his ass kicked last night, did by Terry McLaurin. But when James Bradbury made a huge play on that interception, you play to win the game.
Do you?
That's not on Jason Garrett. That's on the head coach.
Correct.
And I heard his explanation after the game. Well, we had our philosophy. We wanted to make him use the timeouts. How about this one, Coach?
Timeout. If you want to make him use the timeouts, why'd you throw the ball on third down? You left him with a timeout. Now, it's going to get to the 2-minute warning there, one way or the other. One theory is they're going to call timeout with, let's just make up a number, 2:03, 2:04 to play. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to get the 2-minute warning, and then obviously the change of possession there. But if the goal is we want them to burn all 3 timeouts.
Then you run 3 times in a row.
Then you run 3 times.
I get what you're saying.
Instead of running a guy that's averaging 2 yards a carry, your best running play was the run option with Daniel Jones. He's a lock to get you a couple yards.
That critique, which I agree with, and remember I told you a few days ago, my biggest criticism of Jason Garrett through 1 week was that he didn't dial up any RPOs in week 1. Now, he did yesterday, and it was very effective on that final possession. First of all, I don't go into a shell and get conservative. You want to know why? Because my defense sucked last night. That's why. I'm not letting this game be decided by that decrepit unit, which we're all wrong about. I'll admit it. I thought the Giant defense was going to play great last night. I'll take my L. You cannot coach in a way in which you say, you know what I trust? I trust my defense for the final 2 minutes of this game to stop an offense that I haven't really shown I can stop.
Yep.
But to your point, because you just hit on it, so let's go deeper. If I'm going to try to win the game or run out the clock or whatever the hell I'm trying to do, Saquon Barkley, prior to that possession, had 10 carries for 12 yards if you take out the one big run. And that's who Saquon is, by the way.
Right.
He'll give you that one big run. You don't need one big run there. You need 5-6 yards. You need chunks. You want to get a first down.
First down wins the game. It's over at that point. And then we'll get to Slayton in a second because that's different too.
So why would it be a good idea? Of course, we will.
Yeah.
Why would it be a good idea with a guy who, to your point, because you said it, is averaging essentially a yard or 2 per carry? That's what he was doing outside of the one home run ball he hit. Why would you think that's your best weapon, that's your best attack.
Yep. And listen, the Washington was going to gift wrap them a W. You go 1-1 into the extra 10 days before you play Atlanta. You're feeling better about yourselves because you're 1-1, and your makeshift offensive line did a good job in pass protection for sure. Not for the running attack, but whatever. 1-1's a lot different than 0-2 with Atlanta and New Orleans coming up. And it starts and ends with the head coach. They were good enough to score 40 points last night against one of the best front sevens in football. Give them credit for that. Slayton drops an obvious touchdown pass.
Sure.
The debatable holding call on the Daniel Jones touchdown run. That offense essentially put up a 40 spot last night.
Yep.
And they still lost. And oh, by the way, the coach that preaches discipline and I'm the tough guy type of guy, who also was a special teams coach, gave Washington the game gift wrapped on a special team blunder, which had nothing to do with the outcome of the play. Dexter Lawrence is not going to block the kick. So why is he moving at all? He has no impact whatsoever on that kick being good, bad, or blocked. And that's a lack of discipline. That is a lack of focus. And I know they're professionals. I know they're grown men. That starts and ends with the head coach, who, by the way, is now 6-12 and has overseen the Giants in part to the worst record in the NFL over the last 5 years. Not the Jets, not the Jaguars. Pick your favorite team. Your beloved, storied New York Giants are the laughingstock of the NFL over the last 5 years. And you can call me all the names in the book that I don't like the Giants. That is a tangible fact. Own it.
That discipline line,
Yeah.
I want to add to that, Craig, because you're right. You're right. We've always said that. Whether it was Joe Judge or Todd Bowles or whomever, penalties, dumb penalties especially, inexcusable penalties, will come down to the head coach. I want to bring you back to another example of mind-boggling lack of discipline. You brought up Dexter Lawrence?
Please tell me you're going to bring up the back-to-back offensive motion penalties.
Craig, you read my mind. You read it because... So Daniel Jones, and it wasn't a perfect pass, but it was a good enough pass that should have been a touchdown by Darius Slayton. Let's just address that.
And Slayton owned it.
And he owned it, okay? Not a perfect pass, but a good enough pass. Right after that, Saquon Barkley had a run for 5 yards. It was actually his second best run outside of the 45-yard run. So it's 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5. Very manageable. You're up in this game 23-20.
And where were they? About midfield, right?
They were at about the Washington 38-yard line.
So inside, okay.
Okay?
Yep.
False start on Nate Solder.
5-yard penalty, 3rd and 10.
Okay. Bad, still manageable.
Sure.
And then another false start.
5-yard penalty, 3rd and 15.
How does that happen?
Out of field goal range.
How does that happen? How about the fact that they were forced to use a timeout after a Washington timeout because they had too many guys on the field? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Washington calls a timeout. It's right before the 3rd and 5, a few plays before the game-winning field goal. Big play, huge play. Washington calls a timeout. Of course they did. Giants come out of the timeout with nobody having any effing clue where they should be,
right,
forcing Joe Judge to use a timeout. This looked like a disorganized mess. This looked like an undisciplined mess. And I've defended Joe Judge, but last night, I can't defend him. I put a poll out last night because I was in that kind of mood. Who were you most pissed off at? Patrick Graham, haven't even got to him.
Who won the poll?
What a terrible play calling decisions by him all day. Jason Garrett and of course, the head coach. The head coach won by a lot,
because
Craig.
Daniel Jones played great last night. Let's just say for a guy that has been a bit of the whipping boy for a lot of Giant fans, and once again after week 1 because of the fumble, I'm not saying he's the second coming of Roger Staubach or you pick your favorite quarterback. Daniel Jones played really well last night.
Daniel Jones played the best game of his NFL career last night.
Arguably, yeah, okay.
That's what he did last night.
Fair enough. He had the great run for the touchdown that gets called back. Hit every open man. The Slayton pass has to be caught. I agree. It's not right in the breadbasket, but that's an NFL catch you got to make.
Yep.
And I give Slayton credit. He didn't dodge it like Lawrence did after the game regarding the offsides. He goes, look, I got to make that catch. Period. Stop. That's done. Slayton's their best offensive. Well, Sterling Shepard's probably the best offensive player. Slayton is a big weapon for them.
I thought
And
it was
you know
Evan
that.
Ingram.
Well, he's not playing right now.
Oh, okay, fair.
By the way, if Ingram's there,
Don't start with me.
I tell you what, though, I almost put out last night. I go, who misses Evan Ingram right now? When Slayton dropped that touchdown pass. Listen, we're going to take the calls all day. You deserve to be pissed off because it's same old, same old. It's 5 consecutive years now at an 0-2 start. And let's just play the game that we have to play. You're not out of it. The season's not over, but it's close. You have Atlanta and then New Orleans, where you never win. And that's their first game post-hurricane in their own building. The place will be a zoo, and they might come into that game, who knows, maybe undefeated. You know, they bitch-slapped the Green Bay Packers in week 1. No one saw that coming. So that's the next couple weeks. That's on the horizon. But the New York Giants last night did themselves ridiculous damage that they didn't have to do. They had the game. The game was over. They won the game. They didn't deserve to win it. Washington gives them the gift of all gifts with a crazy crisscross wide receiver pattern that results in an interception that you never saw coming from a kid who played really well. I mean, I'll give Taylor Heineke credit.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kid is an NFL quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. And they gave you the gift, and you wasted the gift. You wasted it. And that's on, listen, the players, of course, but that starts and ends with Joe Judge.
And it's now been 18 games that Joe Judge has coached here. And there was a honeymoon for a while. And all honeymoons end. It's going to end for Saleh at some point. It all ends.
Yeah, in the Super Bowl.
That was the worst coach game we've seen from Joe Judge. From a lack of discipline to some of the decisions that were made. I got another one. And I guess this is Patrick Graham, but again, you're the CEO, you're the head coach of this team. How about the McKissick touchdown run at the end of the first half?
Oh, brutal.
Again, out of a Giants timeout. I mean, what the hell kind of play call on defense did they have lined up for that?
If you don't know what Evan's talking about, it's all over Twitter. We can put it out again if you need us to. When you look at the defensive alignment for the play, the run that Evan's talking about, the touchdown run.
3rd and 1 from the 2.
And it's an audible by Heineke,
Yes.
which they acknowledged during the game. You and I would have audibleized it. My kids would have audibleized it. My grandmother in her grave would have audibleized it because the New York Giants lined up with 7 guys to the right of the offense and nobody anywhere near the left side. So Heineke gets up there. I don't know what plays originally called. I assume it's a pass, right? Who knows? And he's saying to himself, wait a minute. Am I being punked? Are there cameras here? Are they? And you could almost see the brain going, this is too good to be true.
Right.
There's got to be something else going on. Some guy's going to pop up from underground and make the tackle. But oh no. There ain't nobody there to pop up.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is because Washington had no timeouts and there were only 18 seconds to go, maybe they thought, well, there's no way they'll run the football here.
Okay.
But they were handing it to him, and J.D. McKissick walked in for a touchdown.
Yeah. So listen, all in all, it was a brutal night. What do you take out of it positive? The Giants' offense was pretty good.
You take the quarterback out of it. The quarterback was awesome last night. The quarterback was being hit early on. I thought the offensive line cleaned up and played a lot better later on in this game. Jones made some incredible throws. And like I told you the other day, Daniel Jones' best attribute to this point would be his legs. Dial-up plays around his legs. And I got to give Jason Garrett credit.
Yeah.
I thought for the most part, there was some I can nitpick. I thought Jason Garrett's play calling played into that.
Called a good enough game to score 40. I mean, what else do you want the guy to do? We're going to nitpick that last possession. Run incomplete. We left too much time on the clock. But, we didn't bring up yet. We will. The defense coming back on the field and Washington scoring in 2 plays.
If you have the 85 Bears as your defense, even last year's Giants, I understand saying, you know what? Let's kill the clock. We trust our defense.
2 plays.
You watched them last night. You watched them even against Denver. What would make you feel confident in that defense stopping Washington with plenty of time on the clock? That's the thing that boggles my mind. This defense, in the early going of this season, hasn't warranted you saying, I'm going to go into a shell conservatively, and basically, I'm just going to trust them. Don't worry. They'll stop them.
Yeah. Plus, now you have sideline problems, guys yelling and screaming at each other. Kadarius Toney's pissed off. You saw Galladay yelling. I thought at the equipment manager who's fixing his helmet, but it was Danny Jones actually.
I got one big issue with that.
Yeah.
One very big issue, and it's actually not even with Kenny Galladay at the moment. It's with the Giants. Kenny Galladay's got to meet the media. It is now 2:17 on Friday. A lot of guys have talked to the media. Daniel Jones, obviously, the coaching, Saquon. A lot of guys have talked to Dexter Lawrence. Everyone's talking to the media. Where's Kenny Galladay?
Haven't seen it.
Because we can sit here, Craig, and we can speculate. We can do what everyone else is doing. Speculate. What did he say? What was he mad about? How about Kenny Galladay address what he was pissed off about?
We'll find out eventually. I mean, I think these guys are ghosts until next week at this point.
No. I think it's I think it's important for Galladay, if he cares about his teammates, and the Giants should lead the way on this. The Giant PR should lead the way on this by telling Kenny, you got to talk. You have to talk to the media, not for yourself, but for your quarterback. I watched Daniel Jones last night. I watched Daniel Jones sit there, get bombarded with questions, not about his own team's performance, not about his performance, not even the play calling on that final possession, a little bit of it. It was about Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay put Daniel Jones in a terrible spot.
Because we all saw it.
So where's Ken? Has he talked yet?
I have not seen it. The guys are checking, and none of us have seen anything from him. We've seen it from Dexter Lawrence. We've seen it from Darius.
We've
seen it from the coach. We've seen it from everybody. We've not heard from Slayton. From Galladay that I'm aware of. We got lots to do. Of course, your call. Start the bitch fest. Let's go. 877-337-6666 is the phone number. Later today, we will not forget, I promise you, the Yankee debacle last night. And I believe Aaron Boone's going to come on with us to discuss the debacle against Baltimore, which puts them on the outside looking in.